The Teal mask is out, and one question remains, and that is it even worth it? Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about the Teal mask, doing a little bit of a review for it. We are going to start spoiler-free, just in case there's anybody who has not gotten through the game. As we move into spoilers, I will, of course, give a spoiler warning, but let's jump right in. We're going to answer the question today of, is this DLC worth it? And there's multiple angles to look at this from. Obviously, one thing we need to keep in mind is that you cannot purchase the Teal mask by itself, right? You are purchasing the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLC. So you're purchasing both the Teal mask and the Indigo Disc, and the Indigo Disc has not released yet. So I guess this is not really me saying, you know, is the Teal mask, worth $35? Because no, it's not, and GameFreak isn't selling it to you for $35. They're selling 2 DLCs for $35, and this is just part 1 of them. So is it worth $17.50? Is it worth, honestly, just your time? Is it worth you going ahead and buying the DLC now, or should you just wait to get it when Indigo Disc is out, because who really cares about the Teal mask? Is that the case, is what I'm saying. And honestly, again, there's other points to look at too. Like for me, I did think that looking at Sword and Shield's DLC, that was $30, and to me it always felt like the Isle of Armor was really like $10 of that, whereas the Crown Tundra was $20 of that. So I'd say that just if the Teal mask to you doesn't seem like it is worth $17.50, well, keep in mind, yeah, it might only be worth $10, whereas Indigo Disc is the thing that's supposed to be worth the other 25 of it. So that is something to keep in mind. There, of course, are different things to look for in this. Everybody looks for a different thing in a Pokemon game, right? Some people care more about the story. Some people, which if you care more about the story in Pokemon, boy, you have been disappointed a lot. But some people care about the new Pokemon. Some people care about the competitive side of things. Some people care about the features. Some people care about the region. All those things. So that's what we're going to talk about. First, we'll start with the big one. That is graphics. There was a lot of talk about rumors, really, of a graphics update in this DLC. And yes and no. So I will say that the DLC, I think, looks way better than Paldea. I think, part of this is not just graphics, but also art style and, choices that were made. But the land of Kitakami looks so much better than Paldea, in my opinion. There are some areas of Paldea that are really, really cool, like Sakurat Trail, or the kind of more Asian-inspired area in the northeast of Paldea. But I always felt that, southern Paldea, the grassy lands that span from, the beginning area all the way over to Alfornada, they felt very bland to me. I mean, it seriously, it felt like it was just a lot of the same, right? And Kitakami doesn't feel that way to me at all. The areas are very diverse. There are a lot of grassy areas, but they make sure to diversify them. Some are little routes that go by a river with an apple orchard. Some have rice paddies there. Some have an apple orchard there. Some have big sloped fields with wind blowing and you can see the grass moving. It feels more alive than Paldea did, in my opinion. So in terms of the area, I think it absolutely nailed it. The area is great. I do also think that the graphics look better. I will say there are still frame rate issues. So if that's a big concern of yours with Pokemon, then that is something to keep in mind. Now, I will say, me personally, I really only play Pokemon. So I am not bothered too much by graphics issues because I don't play these other games with amazing graphics like the PS5 Spider-Man game or even The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I haven't even played that. So, this is coming from someone who really only plays Pokemon, so that's something to keep in mind. But there are frame rate issues. There are occasional bugs. I will say I personally have not encountered a bug in Kitakami, but I've seen video evidence of these bugs, so they are out there. It doesn't matter if I've encountered them or not. One thing I have encountered, and I think this falls under frame rate issues, not a bug, because I'm not falling through the world or getting stuck or something, but occasionally I'll be dashing on Koraidon, and it'll kind of freeze for a quick second and then keep going. It's almost like the game gets stuck and then starts going. I have had that happen a couple of times, but to me, it is not anything glaring. There is also, they did fix the box icons. You know, previously it felt like it took forever for your Pokemon's icons to load when you're going through your box. That is no longer the case. They now load very quickly, and that is that's golden. Honestly, we needed that. We needed that a lot. So to kind of move away from the graphics and still talk about the area a little bit, let's talk about the size of this thing. Kitakami's huge, in my opinion. I felt like it was really big. Now, we did have a discussion over on the Hidden Power podcast, which is a podcast that I am a co-host of, and we talked about this a little bit, and they had different thoughts than I did. So I do think it's about expectations. I don't know how big you're expecting Kitakami to be, but I expected it to be small because I was thinking about the Isle of Armor and how the Isle of Armor was pretty small, especially when you factor in that a lot of it was just water, right? But this was not the case here. It was a lot bigger than Isle of Armor. I believe it's been reported it's the size of about 25% of Paldea, but I've got to be frank with you. I feel like it feels bigger than 25%. It doesn't feel like 50% or nothing, but it feels bigger than 25%. If someone had held a gun to my head and told me to guess how big Kitakami was before seeing that it was allegedly 25%, I think I probably would have guessed somewhere between 30 and 40. But you know, that's just me. Again, that's expectations a big part of that. Since I was expecting something small, it naturally was big. There were a lot of people who I think were expecting it to be half of Paldea size. Sadly, there were even people who were expecting it to be Paldea size, which was just absurd. But this was not the case. So that is, again, just something to keep in mind. Now let's talk about the new Pokemon. So we won't touch on the spoilery stuff, but the revealed new Pokemon, of course, were Poltergeist, Ogerpon, and the Loyal 3. And I gotta say, I was not a big fan of the Loyal 3. I like Pheasantipity, but the other two I didn't care for when they were first revealed. But seeing them in game, they all look really good. They move very different. I mean, Monkey Dory, there were tons of little jokes and stuff about Monkey Dory, and people were even saying, like, he looked like a character from, like, Family Guy or American Dad or something. Like, he looked stupid. It wasn't even, like, one of those things where it's like, that doesn't look like a Pokemon, that looks like a Digimon. No, this just didn't look like anything. It just looked dumb. But that was my take on him in the original, in the official art. But when I saw him in game, honestly, the way he moved and stuff, I was like, you know what, actually, this little guy's pretty cool. I also like Okidogi a lot more. He is still my least favorite of the three, but he does look pretty cool too. And Pheasantipity, again, gorgeous. Love Pheasantipity. Ogerpon also is adorable. If you can play through the Teal Mask and come out of it not adoring Ogerpon, then I'm not sure that you have a heart, to be completely frank. You might want to, like, go see a cardiologist or something about that, because you're heartless. But all of these Pokemon were given a lot of life. Even Poltergeist, I was not a big fan of, but seeing it move around in game also helped me a lot. So, you know, it's just your classic, don't judge a book by its cover, right? You know, you don't just look at the official art. Actually see it in game, and in game it's amazing. Diplin is also amazing, and it is a lot better stat-wise than I thought it would be. I guess it looks so similar to Applin, I just didn't think that it would have Flapple and Appleton stats, but it does, and that's pretty freaking cool. Now to move into the music and stuff, because I do want to touch on that real quick. Music's amazing. It's genuinely amazing. Like, you know, just super Japanese vibes. A lot of it sounded like, to me, that it could be in a Legend of Zelda game. But I thought the music was amazing. I did want to touch on that. I know that's not a big thing people care about, but yeah. Now, to features, we do have new TMs this time around, which is amazing. It really spiced things up. There were some Pokemon that were already in Scarlet and Violet that got access to some TMs that are, you know, pretty good for it. There are some little buffs to Pokemon too, like they traded out Empoleon's Defiant ability, that was its hidden ability, for competitive, which is a lot better for Empoleon, and they even replaced Early Bird for Shiftry with Wind Rider, which previously was only held by the Bramblin line. So that's really cool and should spice things up with Shiftry and its viability. I'm pretty excited about that. The Shiftry is a great design, so it was cool to see it get some love, and same to Empoleon, that was awesome. Some other buffs, like Torterra being able to get Shell Smash now. There's things like Gligar gets Crab Hammer now, so Gligar is apparently a crab. Hidden power people, you'll understand the reference there. Then we do have TMs going out, like I said, 2 other Pokemon. Aurasphere now can be put on Infernape. A lot of Pokemon get Vacuum Wave. There's a lot. Knockoff, Tyranitar gets a knockoff. Rillaboom has access to Grassy Glide once again, which did get nerfed, but you know, it did not only spice things up by introducing new Pokemon, but these new TMs also spice things up in their own way, which again is very exciting, and as someone who plays competitive, that's something I look forward to. Ogarowston is very rewarding. The Mochis are like the equivalent to vitamins. I thought they would be the equivalent to the Feathers, where they only raise 1 EV point, but they don't. They raise 10, which is awesome. And the Ogarowston, it's a lot of fun. It's a little annoying. Like, I'm a competitive person, so you know, there'll be times where, you know, I want to buy a Greedent plush just to burn it, but other than that, Ogarowston's a lot of fun, and like I said, it's very rewarding. I feel like Pokemon in the past has given us these additional features that you'll play them, you'll, you know, do the little side game, whatever, and it's like, this is what I get, you're giving me a super potion? This was not worth that. But Ogarowston is that way, especially if you're looking to EV train things, and it's a great start to competitive battling too. You know, there's all kinds of things that spice up competitive battling here. You can, you know, not only the TMs, but this Ogarowston thing makes it easier to get a hold of these competitive Pokemon. I do have a competitive channel, LumioseTower. You can check out that because we do talk competitive there, of course, and you know, maybe that can be something that you're interested in if you are wanting to get into competitive. But to move into the characters are really good. I enjoyed them. I don't really typically care so much for Pokemon characters, human characters, I mean, because, you know, I'm there for the Pokemon and I'm there for the region. That's the thing I look for in a Pokemon game. But these characters were compelling. You know, you enjoyed them. They were entertaining at least, which usually that isn't even the case for a Pokemon character for me, especially in recent years. But great designs of these characters, compelling characters, entertaining characters, 100% on there. Now I will talk about some downsides. Some downsides to me were that personally, I wasn't so stoked about the batch of returning Mons in this DLC. There will, of course, be more Pokemon that are returning in the Indigo Disc, but looking at Teal Mask, it wasn't too exciting. Now, there are some that I was stoked about, like the Sinnoh starters, Gliscor, Snorlax, Leavanny, I was absolutely overjoyed about. But overall, you know, the Pokedex has a lot of Pokemon that I personally am just kind of indifferent to, or like a little. I'm not obsessed with. You know, things like Volbeat and Illumise, didn't really care to have those back. Ducklet and Swanna, and no hate if any of these are your favorites. That's awesome. You know, there's not many Pokemon I hate, so these are just ones I'm indifferent to, so it's not ones that get me excited. Like, the flip side is Isle of Armor was bringing back Lycanroc, Talonflame, Dragalge, I think, was brought back. It might have already been in the game. Either way, Kingdra, you know, there was just a lot of Pokemon that I felt were captivating, were very grabby, were ones that I really liked, whereas that wasn't the case this time around, which, again, is subjective, but I do want to throw that out there. I wasn't too thrilled about the returning Mons. It also, you know, they said that it will be around 230 returning total. It was 102 in this DLC. I wanted it to be a little more than that. But I was hoping it'd be at the 115 number or more. But I guess that just means that Indigo Disc will be better. So again, that's stupid on me. That's petty on me. But just to give some criticism where I had it, that absolutely was it. The story is a little short, too. I mean, you know, there were a lot of people that played in 3 hours or less. Now, I like to take my time with things. I like to explore things when I'm in those areas. So I'm not, like, running through the story. I'm not like, okay, they said go here now, let's go here. Okay, now they said go here, let's fly back. I would often walk back and kind of take a new route to see new things. So the story, you can kind of dictate a little because it's open world. But it is a short story overall, right? If you're just wanting to focus on the story and you're not going to let yourself get sidetracked, then you're not going to be playing it for long, the story. So that is something else to keep in mind. Now let's move into some spoilers about the story. So here's your spoiler warning. Hop out of here. We're going to do story spoilers, so heavy stuff, and then we will close this out as a video. You should be gone now if you don't like spoilers. So first off, right off the bat, they dropped the bombshell that Blueberry Academy is going to be in the Unova region. So technically speaking, while we probably, in fact, let's face it, we definitely will not be visiting Unova in the Indigo Disc, like mainland Unova that we saw in Black and White and Black 2 and White 2, we will technically be going to the Unova region in Indigo Disc. So overall, Scarlet and Violet has given us 3 regions. So take that, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Glimpses of regions, yes, but still new regions. Very cool. I like that, you know, they didn't just continue with the Paldea vibes. They gave us something else to kind of, you know, be a little refreshing. Though my heart goes out to Spanish and especially Portuguese people because, you know, it does suck that we are leaving Spain and Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula, behind so soon. I mean, there's nothing else I can say about that. That does suck. I can totally understand if you're upset about that. I personally, you know, I was very excited to see Japan coming in, and Unova is very exciting. But I can totally understand if you're like, wait, where's more of Portugal or more of Spain? But, wow, there's definitely going to be videos on this Unova bombshell, so be sure to stick around for that, as well as some other things about Briar. So again, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss that. But to talk about the story was, like I said, it was short, but it was very good. The twist of the Loyal 3 actually being the bad guys was not something I called. I knew that, like, Ogerpon, or not knew, but, you know, I guessed that Ogerpon would probably be misunderstood. But I did not think that the Loyal 3 would be outright, like, jerks. I thought that maybe they thought they were heroes, but it turns out they were beating up an innocent Pokemon. And no, it turns out they knew they were beating up an innocent Pokemon. They just liked to do that. So, yeah. The Blood Moon Ursaluna line, very, very good. The Legends Arceus music that was in that was, I mean, genuinely, I got chills when I first realized, oh, they're playing the forest music from Legends Arceus, and then, oh, they're playing the alpha music from Legends Arceus, and the battle music. Insane. Absolutely insane. Also, we'll be doing some theory videos on Perrin, her Growlithe, this Ursaluna that is related to the Blood Moon, all that. So again, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That's very important. But yeah, overall, I would say that the Teal Mask is absolutely worth it. It is a fun time. It is better than Isle of Armor, in my opinion, and that is coming from a fan of Isle of Armor. I know Isle of Armor is pretty divisive, but I loved it. I loved Isle of Armor, and I still prefer the Teal Mask. So that's, you know, take that as you will. If you haven't got it, I do encourage you to get it. I mean, it's, you know, it can be a short game if you wanted to, but it is a lot of fun, I think, and the Land of Kitakami is really cool, and I can't wait to see what they're bringing in Indigo Disc. They've already dropped a lot of bombshells in the Teal Mask. I can't imagine what they will do in the Indigo Disc, but yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications for all of our videos where we will talk about what they'll be doing there and what they'll be doing beyond that. Heavy stuff, guys. And until next time, I will see all of you later.